Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. We are in the middle of the open beta for XDefiant here, which has seen a lot of players jump on and test it out. Almost too many players jumping on. I mean, the servers the past 24 hours since the beta opened up to everyone have been a little bit rough, getting on the game and actually staying on the game. But, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's, for one, stress testing the servers and clearly proving to the devs that they might need to upgrade some or focus a little bit more, on that. But the hype is here for sure. Everybody is talking about this game right now, it seems, including myself. Obviously, we've been covering it a decent amount here lately. And quick little side note, really do appreciate all the love, all the support on videos that aren't just Call of Duty. Obviously, this year is kind of just meh for Call of Duty. Like the hype with MW2 and Warzone 2 is there for like updates and stuff, but we all know the game could have been so much better had they listened more to the community. It is what it is. But when I'm able to do non-COD stuff, it is really refreshing to see, support on the videos. So if you guys like this stuff, as always, be sure to drop a like on the video itself. It lets me know you guys want to see more content like it. But that out of the way, I wanted to discuss a few things in regards to XDefiant, say a few things that I think, go past the hype of the game. Yes, it is fun, it is very refreshing, but looking more towards the long-term future with XDefiant, what exactly should we expect? Can this actually hold its own as a Call of Duty killer, quote unquote? That's sort of what XDefiant has been coined as. Yes, it's XDefiant from Ubisoft, but it's also XDefiant, the COD killer, right? That's what it's been referred to as pretty much since its inception, and since people first started getting their hands on it. It's like, okay, clearly this feels kind of like a Black Ops game with very smooth movement, and it has that COD feel. It's just not directly Call of Duty, and there are significant differences in how the game plays and feels, but also there's a lot of core things that are very similar to one another. But I've said it before, I'll say it again now, XDefiant is not a Call of Duty killer. At least what it is right now is not a Call of Duty killer, and quite frankly, I don't think anything outside of Call of Duty ever will be the Call of Duty killer. I don't think it's going to be Halo. I don't think it's going to be Battlefield. I don't think it's going to be XDefiant. I don't think it's going to be anything else that another competitor comes up with. I think Call of Duty is going to be the downfall of itself. They're going to run out of unique ideas. They're going to run out of things that they can base a Call of Duty around, and the franchise will probably end up being, one last title of Call of Duty, and it's sort of a mashup combination game created by Treyarch and Sledgehammer and Raven and Infinity Ward, kind of all the studios working on one project cumulatively. Then they just update that and support that for multiple years. That's how I imagine the COD franchise sort of comes to a quote-unquote close. But again, I don't think that another title is going to kill Call of Duty. The game is just too big. Now, the chronically online audience, which is you and me, those of us actively watching videos, reading the blogs, following the devs, and reading up on what they're saying on Twitter and whatnot, yes, we see a completely different side of this than what most casual gamers do. The dads who jump on after a long work week and are just trying to play a game. They're hitting up their friends. All right, what do you guys want to play tonight? Hey, I heard about this new XDefiant game. Maybe we should try this. They'll hop on for a bit, but then, next week it's okay, we'll jump back to Call of Duty. Anyways, going off on a bit of a tangent here, coining this game the Call of Duty killer, I feel like is almost a bit unfair to what XDefiant is, because it is similar, but it's also so different. And that also might play into why it might not be able to ever actually kill COD, despite the fact that it can hold its own niche audience because of what the game is. What it does the best, though, is force competition. And this is why I think XDefiant is so important to Call of Duty. Rather than taking the player base away from COD, it can actually help COD in a lot more ways than you might realize. By forcing that competition, by getting players to see, oh, look at this, Ubisoft, Mark Rubin, tweeting up a storm over here, talking about his issues live in-game, talking briefly on why this is this way, or why that's this way, or why the servers are doing this, or how they've adjusted this, or how they plan on going about a certain update in a couple of weeks' time. The communication regarding XDefiant has been on point, phenomenal. Call of Duty needs more of that, for one. Obviously, things this year have been pretty rough, and they've been pretty quiet for a while. At times things get better, but then it kind of defaults to the radio silence, for longer periods of time. But the communication of XDefiant, the transparency of XDefiant, in multiple facets has been phenomenal, both on social and how the game is like being developed and being looked into, but also in game. You can see all your weapon stats. It's very straightforward, very easily laid out. That's awesome. But it's got to be said, XDefiant in and of itself, very fun, very cool. I'm having a blast playing it. It is limiting itself though. This is a standard multiplayer FPS shooter, and we've seen hundreds of these, right? Call of Duty is the main one. Battlefield is a large one. Halo is a large one. XDefiant certainly could be another large one, but it also has to expand, in my opinion, past what it is just now, especially if it ever wants to be deemed the real Call of Duty killer. Like I said, don't think it will be, but on an off chance they go through and expand XDefiant a lot, it could be. Call of Duty is no longer just the 6v6 multiplayer fast-paced shooter. It's also Warzone. It's also DMZ. So while XDefiant has the audience and has the attention right now because it's new and it's fresh, if this gameplay doesn't evolve, in a year's time from now, is it going to have this same kind of, hype around it? If it stays just straight up 6v6 domination, TDM, hardpoint control, whatever the case may be, yes, they're adding in new weapons. Yes, they're adding in new maps, but that's basic content for the most part. Could they expand the game more? Would we ever see a battle royale in XDefiant? Take it to a new level, because I feel like this gameplay could flow very well in a battle royale. Would be very reminiscent of what Warzone was back during MW 2019 and Cold War, with the lower recoil weapons, very smooth movement. That's what players like, the bit of a slower TTK, obviously. If XDefiant were to expand, then I feel like really it could be in the conversation of being a Call of Duty killer. But simply being another 6v6 or standard multiplayer shooter, it's gonna be fun. It will have an audience for sure, as it very clearly already does. But long term, can it hold that, and can it actually continue to press on Call of Duty and on Battlefield and on Halo and on these other large FPS games to make them better as well? Because what XDefiant has done so far, what they've outlined for what they're gonna do in the future, it's promising. It's absolutely awesome, because it's a nice, fresh change of pace from what we've seen for, years now, really, from Call of Duty and other developers as well. So from my time thus far on XDefiant throughout the closed betas and now most recently with the open beta, I've enjoyed it a lot. I find myself, spending hours on this game, having a really good time, trying out the new maps, trying out a bunch of different weapons, setups, all sorts of stuff like that. And I feel like a lot of players are in that same boat. But long term, how can it evolve? Will it evolve to be more than just what it is now? Because the question remains, how long can what XDefiant is now last before it grows a little bit more monotonous or a little bit more stale? Or will their content updates with the new maps and the new weapons and new factions and all that stuff be enough to continuously refresh the game in a way that keeps people coming back? I'm very excited to see how this pans out, and ultimately, I think this is a win-win in a lot of situations. One, if you're not vibing with Call of Duty right now, there's going to be an alternative. XDefiant seems to have really scratched that itch for a lot of players who aren't thrilled with Warzone 2 or MW2, at least based off the comments that I see, several of you guys leaving on the videos. At the same time, because XDefiant has definitely drawn enough attention so far and probably will continue to do so, it's now putting more pressure on games like Call of Duty to become even better. So that, to me, like I said, is a win-win. And that being said, that's going to wrap things up for this one. If you enjoyed the video, if you guys want to see more XDefiant based content, let me know by dropping a like on it. And if you're new here, you want to stay up to date with all things, be sure to hit that subscribe button and join us ultimately on the road to 1 million subs. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.